Welcome, friends. It's nearly 9 p.m. I'm a little bit tired. But anyway, I wanted to start this. Let me just switch to this screen. I just wanted to say a very good new year to everybody, because this is the first stream in this year. And today I decided, because I today solved a problem which I think might be interesting to other people too. And that's why I decided to make a quick live cast out of it. So here we are. So let me explain what it's all about. I want to create a little showcase how you could create a Linux virtual machine in Azure. And I want to do it in a better way than most of the samples you'll see will do it. So the problem I try to solve is mainly about this freaking SSH key, which needs to be, or in most cases needs to be set up if you want to do it a little bit more secure than the default way. And so the normal demos you get, let me switch over to maybe some browser. Let me open up a new Chrome and maybe let's do it in dark mode so that you don't freak out here. Is it dark mode? Just a second. Dark reader is on and it's still not getting shown to me. Let me do this. No, it's not working. Is it? Oh, that's the way it works. Okay. So if you try to Google something like Azure VM SSH Key, you get something like this: quick step, create and use an SSH private key pair for Linux VMs in Azure. So this basically tells you that you should run this command. Let us do this real quick here in the console. Let us go to the default folder where you need to do this normally. Let me zoom a little bit. Whoa. Let me zoom a little bit here. And then basically you run this command. And if you ran, I don't know what he thinks about. Okay, a file. So let's do the default and let's skip the passphrase. And now if I run, I get this ID RSR file. So let me just remove all G, remove all I, and let's do it again. So you see what's happening. So basically default, and you get this. So you get an ID RSI file, which is the private key. This key is not to be shared with anybody. It remains on your machine. It's a secret value. Consider it like a password, okay? And then you have this ID RSA.pub, which is the public key. And the main idea is now that when you create the virtual machine, you give it this public key so that everybody who owns the private key can connect to this virtual machine. Basically, that's it. So this sample tells you do this on your local machine and then do a VM create. And this is an alternative to generate the SSH keys automatically. I don't get the point here, basically, because afterwards I think you get the private key here and then you can store it. So basically with this option, you tell Azure, you know what, Azure, when you create the virtual machine, just do it for me. I just want to do the generate blah, blah. And now here it describes, cat out the IDRSR public key, use the public key, and then this is the way, if you have a local public key, to create an Azure virtual machine with this public key, and then they say you're good to go. Well, cool. So afterwards you can just SSH to this thing, and you basically, if you didn't specify a password for your private key when you created it, like me showing you here, then you don't just need, you just use ssh.-i and then in my case ID RSA and then whatever machine, user machine, and you just connect to it. Okay, that's it. Problem with this is, I think, you now have local on your machine. You have a private key file. Okay, cool. But now what? If you are the only one who wants to use this virtual machine, okay, cool. But normally, in most circumstances, one of us is creating a virtual machine and a lot of other guys try to connect to this virtual machine. So everybody now who wants to connect to this virtual machine needs to have access to the private key somehow. So I thought about it and I came up with a plan, because we have, let me open up Visio here and just make a quick drawing. Maybe I'll show it with this one, with Azure. Where is it? Azure. Oh, I am so blind sometimes. Azure and Azure, I think that's it. And now let's see. So if you have a virtual machine in Azure, what the heck? Is this display bug visible? I hope so. You see this? Let me go. Oh, I just move it out of the screen, move it back again, and it's there. Okay. That's sorry. That's cool. So in this video, you basically get Visio tips on top of it. So when you create a virtual machine, where is it? Virtual machine, here it is. And it's a Linux virtual machine. My plan basically now is to use an Azure Key Vault. So an Azure Key Vault, let me just write Key Vault here so that you know what it is. And this is a VM. So what if I thought, if when I create the virtual machine, it takes this private key, okay? It takes the private key here and moves it to the Key Vault in here. So, and then the public key is somewhere else stored, and turns out there is a pretty good thing to store public keys. And now all of this should happen in one step, and then everybody who has access to the Key Vault is also allowed to retrieve the private key, and this should be done automatically, stuff like that. So that was the idea. So one command, just deploy this or some template, and everybody should happen. Turns out not so easy. So if you want to create this virtual machine with a template, in my case today I want to showcase doing it with Bicep, but no matter what. Problem is, you can't control the creation of the private key, because when you do it locally, you would have to, perform this keygen on your local machine somehow in your script and then move it to the correct place in Azure, and everything gets broken. It's not a script anymore. So maybe it's a good idea this time to just show you how this works. So I will start up here a script, and this is all it takes, okay? So let me explain what you see here. You see a thing which I showed in another video already. It's like a collection of Bicep modules I wrote for my company. And what I did today, I brought everything together and finally managed to get it work. So basically what we execute here is a deployment script which will deploy the sample VM Linux. So this sample is here. So this is the Bicep for the sample. So let me just quickly explain what it does, or maybe I just execute it. And it will, by the way, here's a resource group which is empty right now. This is the empty resource group, RG Spock test. So this is my subscription. And what I just start the deployment now, and I will go over it, okay, later. But for the moment, the thing, just to explain what happens. So this thing takes a lot of information, but basically the important informations are all the Key Vault informations here. So in order for you to understand what's going on right now, we go to the parameters. So what I do here, and I can show you this because none of these properties are in some way secret or in danger when they get exposed. Because all of this is referencing a Key Vault, an Azure Key Vault, which is called AKV devdir. And this Key Vault lays in this resource group, in this subscription. And there is currently a secret defined with, or a key defined, which later on gets created, which is called Spock test VM private key. In this thing, in the key vault, I intend to store the private key. Then the next thing which is defined here is where is the key vault key where your password resides in. Let me show you this. So if I go to this key vault, which actually exists already, okay, and I go to the secrets, so there's a key, Spock VM SSH Key init password. Okay, cool. When I now look at this, and you can know this, okay, because I will delete it later on. Here is the current version of this password. There's a value, and I can show the secret value, and it's basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to make things easy. That's it. That's my secret, but it can be anything you want. So as a company, the plan here is that you put in here, in this key, in this secret, your password, which should later be used in order to create the private key or the key pair, okay? If you have asked questions here, or you want me to do a little bit deep dive at some place, just go over to the chat, please, and just let me know. Okay, cool. So that is here in this already existing value. And then there are some basic properties which I always have, which is my log analytics workspace and stuff like that. Now to the Bicep. Now that we know what these properties are, we can go here and say, okay, let's build up some options. Please don't look at this in very much detail. It's not so important, but this one is building some variables, and now comes the big place. What I now call, if you see here, I have 3 modules, which means I have Bicep files here somewhere at this paths, which are generating, first of all, the SSH key. You see what this is in a second. The VNet and the VM. And the VM, the cool thing here is the VM gets passed in the public SSH key, which is an output here, as you can see, from this thing, from this module. So basically, this is straightforward. This is just VM stuff, as you probably know it. I will take a look at it. If you give me a hint in the chat, we can go and look there. But this thing is pretty important, the SSH public key Bicep. So let's take a look at this. So the module SSH in Microsoft Compute. So this is the Bicep. And this in turn takes the same options here. I just pass them through. And then it builds a name which starts with MGID, which stands for Managed Identity. So let's go over to Azure and refresh, because it should be there already. Here you can see it. It's already building up, and even the VM is already there. Let me take a look at the script. No, it's running. Okay, let's go over here. So this is the Managed Identity here, and it gets created by basically here. Where is the managed identity? Here it is. It is a so-called user assigned identity. So first thing, I deploy a managed identity here. Okay, next thing, what this does is it's creating a managed public SSH key. That's pretty cool. I didn't know even that this exists till I, tried to think about it, but it's this thing. You see this? It's a managed SSH key inside a resource group. And if I take a look at it, it's just exactly what you think it is. It is the key, the public key stored in Azure. And what was new for me, at least, was that there's a single resource which takes care of storing public keys. I think it's cool, because now you have a position here where you always can copy out this public key. Okay, so we have a managed identity, we have an SSH key, and the other thing which gets generated here, so we have this user, we have the key vault access. So we give this user, that's the next thing here, access to the key vault to access secrets. That's important. So this managed identity, this guy, now has the right on the key vault to access all secrets. So get, set, everything is allowed here. Cool. Now comes the nifty part. This is a PowerShell script, and that's my solution. Remember, I want to create an automatic thing which deploys something here, creates a private public key pair, deploys the private key to the key vault, deploys the public key to this managed public key, and stuff like that. So what this does is, and here is an URL, so I can show you. It's a public URL. You can watch it. So let me go here, go there. This is what's happening. So I basically have a dev.dir repository in GitHub, which is public. And what this does is some manipulation and creation of private key and public key. So you have to imagine that this thing is running during the deployment in a container which is automatically generated whenever this deployment happens. Whenever I deploy this Bicep script, this script is there's a container instance coming up, and this PowerShell script is injected there. The parameters are passed in. It's doing its stuff here. Wait a second. It's doing its stuff here. I just explained in a second. And then it returns one value, the public key. So what is he doing? He checks, first of all, if an Azure SSH key, let me show, this is an SSH key in Azure, this thing. And he tries to find this SSH key if it already exists. If it already exists, and thus the key is not null, it simply returns the public key of this thing. So let me show you what this is doing. Let us go there. What is my context? Oh, that's too bad. What is, again, my context? I'm correct. So what I do now is get SSH key, and I have to replace here. This is the resource group where this SSH key is living. So this is the resource group. Where is it? Anyway, rg spock test. And then simply this is the name of the SSH key. I can't copy. It's so bad. So this is the name which gets passed in. Where am I? Oh, I'm in the wrong window. Here. So name is this, and when I execute this, and I am allowed to execute this, I get this. So now when I call key.public key, yeah, what was it? Oh, I just did it. Key equals key dot public key, and this is the public key, raw string. This is the public SSH key, which was shown me here. So this thing I just got. Okay, cool. Let's go on. Now, if this command now has a key, it steps over this and then it returns. Should never happen because I have a deployment. Now, what if I don't find the key? He checks now if in the parameters there is given or not a password key. So this kind of says if he passes in this key vault key name, then he wants you to look at this key vault key, get the value which is in there, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in my case, and then just get out the password from the key vault as plain text, and then call SSH keygen with the password. Okay, cool. If this thing is not given, this means we want to create a private key without a passphrase. So it's not so secure, but who knows? Maybe you want this. So now SSH keygen is called with this option, which basically says no password, and with the quiet option, which says don't bother, don't do it interactively asking and stuff like that, just take it as it is. However, both of the commands will end because this is called generated, that in the folder where we are in, there will be 2 files, like in this folder. Okay, let me remove the ID stuff. Okay, and now if I just make SSH keygen with this command, let us just do it. So if I look here, you have two files, generated and generated pub. You already saw what this does, what this is. Okay, let us remove those. By the way, if you are wondering what this is just for SSH, a file which lists all known hosts or all IP addresses I was connected to, and it's not asking me if I want to connect to them again. So it's like a cache of hosts I already connected to. But anyway, that's why I don't delete it. So now at this point, we have two files, the generated file and the generated.pub file. Okay, cool. What we do now, we get the private key with PowerShell because we just reads out the content of this file and stores it in the variable, and this does the same with this file, but I use cat here because in the meantime, I thought the getContent.raw was my problem. I used cat, but anyway, never mind. It's just in those two variables are the contents of the two files. Then I delete them for whatever reason, because this container gets deleted anyway, but you know, it feels like I'm doing it professionally in the right way. Somehow. Okay, feels better. Then, now I use this command, which is nothing else than generating, let me show you, generating this thing. This thing is generated with new SSH key in my resource group, which gets passed in the name, which gets passed into for the public key, and then I pass him the content of the public key variable. That's it. That's how this thing got created. Okay, cool. Now stored in the key vault. And now I convert the private key to an PowerShell's secure string. This is what's going on here, because this command needs this value in a secure string. If you don't know what it is, it's just a string which is handled differently by PowerShell. To be honest, it's not PowerShell. I think it's .NET because it's coming out of .NET. But that's just details. Okay. What is Artyom? What is vom-red? I don't know what this means, but I think it's like agreed. Greet you back, or you explain what you said. Okay, go ahead. And then what he does, this command, is basically telling him take this key vault and take this key and set the value of this key. So what happened here, and we can take a look at the key vault, which is this guy. What happened here is that here is my private key, and this is, you see, I reuse this a lot, and this is the latest thing which got deployed by this script. So now the private key is in this file. Cool. So because we have this, let's go over back to our Bicep template. So this guy now tells us, okay, you know what? Execute the script, and in order to execute the script, we need this managed identity here, because what this says is, if you want a Bicep to execute something in Azure, you need to generate a managed identity for this, and that's what's going to happen now. And this is the module which I have here. I will show you this right now. Managed identity, this is a module. And this again consists out of 3 resources, but now we're at the end here at the leaf. So it generates a managed identity. This one generates, I'm back in my target resource group. This one generates this thing, okay? Then the next one is a role definition. The role definition says, you know what? I want to create a role in Azure Active Directory, but it's a custom role. I want to define it. That's what you do. So you just generate a name which has to be unique. That's why GUID with some salt. And then this is wrong actually, and I don't need it anymore, I think, because now, oh, I need it. I see. I want it in this. Okay, this generates the role definition. And then in the last step, I assign the user here to this role. Okay, that's what's happening here. At this place, just let me send a quick shout out to a guy named Thomas on Stack Overflow. I don't know. I think he will never even recognize this. But anyway, it's my, Xing, no. Here, I got some plus and whatever, because I had a question, because I thought there's a bug in ARM templates. And it's not, Thomas just answered it for me and told me that I need to define this one, otherwise you get a bug. You know what I deleted here just a second ago, this command? It was bothering me. If you like to read it, just go over here. I just paste it here in the chat. There's a URL, and you can read what I was going in which rabbit hole. And it took me like 2 weeks. I'm serious, 2 weeks to solve this. Hell. But anyway, okay. And then all this does is I have a user assigned identity, and again, I just need it because my the generation of my public-private key pair needs a PowerShell script, and a PowerShell script needs an identity to run in. So this is what happens here. The bad thing about it is this resource and this resource basically now are just in vain, because they did their job. They were only for the deployment, and now they're sitting there. They don't eat money or something like that. They just sit there and basically do nothing. You can't delete them now, because this is identity for him. Okay, when we look here at the script, that's pretty cool. It's a deployment script. Again, it's a resource in Azure. You can see the output here, and you can see the parameters which were passed in to the script here. Those are the params matching. Let me open this here. You see this here. Those parameters are here. You can see the values of them, which I gave them. And now you understand what's going on. You can use this script. You can link your own public content, whatever. It's just convenient to use it, and it does its job. Okay, and then at the end in the outputs, you see this thing is returning exactly one output, which is called public key of type string, because never mind, it's in double quotes, but it doesn't hurt. And this is happening because of this magic string at the end here. It's just, you need to know this. There is a variable, an array, which called deployment script output, and you pass in a name, an arbitrary name, and you can store variables in it, and those will be considered the output of this script. And in your Bicep template now, if I confuse you guys, just tell me, okay? But I have to tell you everything, because otherwise it makes no sense, whatever. And as you can see here, the public key is returned as the output of this PowerShell, the script outputs. You need to know that there is something which is called script outputs, and then the output which is called public key. Okay, and now I can tell the public key, and this thing is exactly what's shown in here. So now again, you have your public key, because the public key is everybody can have it without any damage. So you can post it as the thing. So what I did also, here in those two output things, I did something because I'm a friendly guy, basically, or in most cases. What I did here is I thought, okay, what would be the next step for, if this deployment went through and it succeeded, this deployment, so what would be the natural next step? The natural next step would be to get the private key down. Okay, this line if you use Azure CLI, and this line if you are more a PowerShell guy. Let's use first of all this line. Go over here. Let me take a look if my account is on the right. It is not. AZ account set-s. Good question. Is it this one? I don't know. Let me take a look. Where is the subscription of this? Subscription is this. Let me go here. AZ account. This was too quick, but it worked. Okay, now I'm on the right subscription. And what I do now, where is it? I copy out this again. This is what I did. And now I'm in the SSH folder here. And I download the secret file. Okay, let's take a look. There it is, secret PAM. And all I have to do now is let me do it in a professional world. Let me get the IP address of this machine, the public IP. Let me store it in a variable. And then let's go. SSH-I secret PAM def tier is the user at IP. So what's happening, he's asking me if I want to connect to this thing, and I say, yes, I want to connect. The private key will be ignored. This is interesting. This is pretty interesting. This is Windows, because, no, this is not Windows, but Windows will come. This is a problem because, let me show you what the problem is. If you go here and look at the properties of this thing, go to security, you see here my user accounts, and you see that because inheritance is activated for this file, everybody, every of those accounts has access to this file. The owner is me, but you see this? This is pretty interesting. Can I not? Please. Can I? I can. So this thing is a problem. Basically, this thing is a problem. What you see here is that this user I have is not a normal user on Windows. So we have problems right now. I show you which. We should, if you follow instructions on the internet, we should deactivate the inheritance and use this option to say remove all. So now this thing has no rights whatsoever. Now I want to add myself to this, and I have to select the principal, which is Azure AD. This is my principal name. Can't type my name. And this thing says, you know what? I don't know this user principal. This is because let me show you. This is Windows, you know. I like it. I love it. Who am I? I am this guy, which this Windows says does not exist on my machine. Well, things like that can cost you weeks, okay? Because why is this happening? This is happening. This user is not a normal user. Let me cancel this. It's not a normal user. It is a user which comes, if you go to manage your own account, it comes because I connected my PC with Azure AD, okay? So this means I clicked at some point this button, or when you install Windows, you say, okay, I log in with my company account. If you do this, you don't have a normal user, you have an Azure AD user. Congratulations. What the hell is going on? Because it, you know, the normal way would now be to go properties, security, advanced security, deactivate inheritance, keep this option on. So now I can delete all things I don't know. Now this thing leaves there, okay. And now if I do my SSH, he says 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and I'm on the machine. That's it. Okay, so don't get distracted. Don't get distracted by the fact, oh man, oh yeah, I'm on Linux. Good morning. Don't get distracted by the fact, which I shown here with the secret file. It's just Windows mass, and what I shown you is the same on Linux. It would be something like this, okay? Maybe a sudo, but that's it. You change it to 400, and then SSH on Linux will be happy, but not on Windows, because chmod on Windows is not working the way. And by the way, if you are saying, well, that's not a problem, use your Kali, Linux, or whatever WSL you have to set the rights, it's not working. Anyway, because this is sucking, I created something and I put it in my profile. Let me go to Notepad, profile, and I created this thing. The simple snippet in PowerShell. And you don't have to write it down right now or stop the video and make a screenshot or whatever. I just made a screencast, a normal blog post today on my blog. So this thing, yeah, except this thing is exactly what happens right now. I explain everything. And now here I have the thing going on. I post this in the chat too. So if you want, you can go there and take a look. And what this basically does, because I put it in the profile, where am I? Let's go in the dollar profile. The dollar profile is a file which gets executed every time you create a new PowerShell session. If you didn't know, that's what dollar profile is pointing to a file, which is this PowerShell script. And every time you create a new PowerShell, now, bam, this file is generated. Okay, is executed. And what I can do now is rmweb. So now I can do the following. I can go there and download this from the Key Vault. There it is. That lays again. And now I can make clear file permissions, which is the name I gave this in my file. You can name it however you want. Secret PAM fire. And now let me show you the file. You see this? That's it. It's clearing everything out. That's it. And now I can just do my SSH.I 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Come on. And I should be on the machine. Hello. Hello, my friend. Doesn't like me anymore. Anyway, I know what's going on. It's just a normal day. CD, this one. And now let's just execute it again. Where is my SSH? No. I don't know. SSH secret PAM. User is wrong. Dev dear. Oh, no. Oh, because IP is not there in this new session. Guys, it's late. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm on. Okay. That's it. Cool. It's working. And I think this is, I just think it's so helpful. At least it helps me. So you have one command, basically. Let me show you. You have, I did this, and this created everything for me in Azure. I have no local, thing to do. All I have to prepare is that in a Key Vault, which I defined, is a secret with the 1, 2, 3, this thing has to lay in a secret, so in a Key Vault, in order for me to be able to generate this out of it. And that's it. Everything else happens in Azure, happens inside the security context of Azure. No, information is chatted around and stuff like that. So basically that's what I wanted to achieve, and I can deploy any Linux VM right now. Let me show you maybe some more details if you want for my Bicep template. Let's go back here to the sample. This is the Bicep, and I showed you how the SSH is working. How, once again, this script, this module creates the managed user, then the PowerShell script, which uses the managed user to be able to be executed and to have access to the Key Vault. And this thing, all this does is, at this point, we have a private key, a public key, both stored in Azure securely, and that's it. Next thing is we create a VNet. So what is this VNet component? So I just wrote it for me. This VNet component is basically here. This is a VNet component. If you want to have access to this thing, components and modules I wrote, everything here, it is available on NuGet publicly. You can have it. You can have all this stuff. I don't have to share it. You don't have to write it down right now. You just have it. Let me show you where we are providing this on NuGet. just do me a favor. We're not doing any support on this. So here is the dev-tier Bicep templates, and I posted here in the chat. But guys, this is just living here because we as a company, we use this stuff. So don't blame us if everything goes wrong or doesn't work or whatever. We're not posting this on GitHub right now. It will, the source code, I think it will come, but anyway. So this is on here, laying here. So what I also have is, let me take this out of one of my repositories. I have a little PowerShell running, and this guy basically does the following. Let me show you what it does. Let me bring up OBS again so I see what I'm doing and my chat window. And now let's say I'm just on my desktop creating a folder, sample. It's not good readable. Let's go here and paste in this PowerShell script. Let's take a look at it, what it does. Let's go to code. Open this with code. So now I have this, and here's a PowerShell, and all it does is it uses NuGet to install exactly this NuGet package and do some stuff. So when I execute this, just as it is, thank you. Come on, cheat me, come on. Install modules.ps1. If I execute this, he's going to NuGet. And this is what's resulting here. He does some stuff, moving some paths around, whatever. And now we have modules, Bicep modules, which are ordered here from us, and you have components, okay? You can use them, but do it on your risk. We have some README stuff going on here. Let me show you. Here's the README. You can take a look at the README. We tried to do everything as good as possible. We have here a README for, what is it? What is this README telling us? This README helps you when you want to do, what the options is, what you need to run this and stuff like that. Action groups, module list, kind of. I think I have to update this already. I didn't do that. So that's it. That is this thing. And you can just, let me show you the script again. You just do a NuGet install. If you want to do this, you basically need this one, choco install. Let me see, NuGet CLI. So this would be, this would be the command if you don't have the NuGet CLI installed. If you just type NuGet, nothing will happen, okay? So this is what it depends on. So, and then it just moves because NuGet packages are coming with their own folder structure. It just moves some folders to the top level, so the components and the modules. That's it. So you can have this stuff. That's what I'm saying. Don't write now like, like a maniac, write down everything. No, just go there and have a look. Get this NuGet package. If you're good with this, let's go back here to the VNet. So this is my VNet module. It's generating a network security group and the VNet itself. So in my option, what this deploys here is, as I told you, the network security group here. And this network security group has this thing with a mark. You could say, well, Alex, this is not good because even the Azure portal is yelling at you. Why is it yelling? I'm exposing port 22. I could do a nasty trick, okay? And I could, inside of the VM, I could use another port for SSH, and then I could hide it and, do whatever port I like. So not everybody knows that this is SSH, but this is worthless, guys, because it's just one command on Linux. Let me go here, maybe. It is nmap -sc-sv, then my IP, whatever it is, my IP address, and then let it go. And even if this doesn't work, he will do this one and we get all the ports, and he will see that you have SSH running regardless on which port you're running. And this freaking nmap will tell him it's SSH. It's not something, it's SSH. So hiding the port in another port SSH is not an option in my opinion. Next thing why this is yelling, he tells me, you know what? It would be a better idea to use a private link to go to this SSH. I say, dear Azure, good idea, but private links, as far as I understood it, depend on a virtual network, which is my landing zone, and from this I'm going into this machine. Not an option for me because I don't have on-prem anything. I don't have a VPN gateway, I don't have a SSH tunnel, whatever. So please, Azure, stop yelling at me about this thing. What can I do? I have to access this machine. Please stop yelling. Because I think if I hide it on another port, he stops yelling, and it's not secure just one bit. Okay, I don't understand this yelling. Anyway, just that you know, this firewall is yelling at me, but I have a firewall. And then I have a VNet here. Where is it? Here. And this VNet obviously has a subnet, the default subnet for my virtual machines, and this time, and that's it. That's what gets deployed here with this thing. Okay, go back to the sample. Where is it? VM Linux here. So this thing here, now we know what this does. This deploys again my private public key. This deploys the virtual network, and this deploys the VM. It's again a component here at the top. And what I did here, and I have a series on Bicep running. So if you are not familiar with Bicep, feel free to go to my video series on Bicep. I'm continuing it, not today, but at some point. So what this thing is, it's just a wrapper for me or my company, how we create virtual machines, okay? So it allows me to say, I want Windows or Linux. I have this VM admin or this VM password, which we didn't use here. I have a public SSH key or I don't have one. This is what we use. I have the network security group. I have to give it a network security group, a firewall in Azure. It has a VNet subnet. So this means my component requires me to create a VNet in front or in the first place. Then I have some allowed sizes for virtual machines, which I can now here give it. I have an image publisher, an image offer, image SKU, all you need to define a virtual machine. Some things here about the OS time zone, because I always forget this freaking writing, how you pronounce the Western European time zone. Anyway, and I have an array for additional data disks because, as you can see, this thing deployed Linux VM with 2 disks. I have the OS disk here, and I have an additional disk just deployed just like that. Then this module generates a public IP address, which you need if you want to access your VM via the public internet, a network interface, aka a network card as a software. This is this thing. And basically, if you're not familiar with Azure, you take a network interface, you plug it into an IP address and a computer, and that's how you connect the computer, the virtual machine, to your public IP. Basically, that's what's going to happen. So this network interface gets the public IP address, and then it's basically a network card hanging there. And then the VM. And I showed you the VM thing in my modules, that's it. And the options I use here, for instance, the image publisher and stuff like that, you can see it in the parameters. So what I use here, can you? By the, what the heck? Is this a variable? What is it? Guys, where is my image publisher? Where is this coming from? Now I don't know. Oh, it's here. So I use Ubuntu server from Canonical in this image SKU, latest version. This is the network security group. This is my subnet. This is my additional hard drive. And this is the size. And it is a Linux. And here is the magic part. Here is those 3 things. An admin username, the calculated public key. You saw this. And then I don't want disable password authentication. So there isn't even an option to connect to this VM with any password. I didn't even define a password. So that's why this works. All this stuff works. So, guys, at least 1 hour. I just rushed through this. I'm not sure. Any comments on this? You liked it? You didn't like it? I don't know. It's a live stream. You can participate if you want. I don't understand what Artyom and Fyodora, if you are you even real? I don't know. Am I so interesting that I get hit by bots? Who knows? Vartech. Is this advertising for something? I don't know. Anyway, maybe I'm too old to understand it. So I'm basically done. It was pretty nice to see like 20 people here around. Obviously, a little bit of interest here in this issue. I hope I could explain some stuff in a little bit more detail. It took me like seriously 2 weeks of stuff because this Stack Overflow article, and then I had to wrap my mind around all this stuff. One thing to explain. You could argue that this example is a bad idea, and you will be right, guys. You are right. This is a bad idea. It's bad design, what I do here. Because why is it bad design? It solves my problem. That's why I did the video. But it's bad design because you are leaving the path of desired state configuration here. Because this SSH public key module, or in another way, because of this component, this is dirt. Okay, guys? It's supported dirt, but it's still dirt. Because desired state configuration wants you to do a description of the goal you want to achieve. So I want a VM, I want somehow a virtual network, I want a public IP, and then you leave it to Azure how to create all this stuff. What I do here with this script, let me show you. This is this script, which is the heart of my whole solution. This is imperative programming. So you go here one by line, you make if, else, blah, 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 and you leave the path of desired state configuration. It's not desired state. It's, I don't know what's the difference? It's imperative. It's just step-by-step executing stuff. If one of the commands for any reason is not working or whatever, or done, I have a typo or something here is messed up or whatever, the complete deployment fails and nothing works here. That's not a good idea. Plus, it's not that repeatable in most cases, like you want it to be in Bicep templates. So why did I do it? Simple answer. Because it's the only way I found. I don't understand, to be a little bit critical here, I don't understand why an important issue like this, using public-private SSH key, is so poorly supported by Microsoft currently. In the ARM templates and in the Bicep, of course, too. It's not to blame Bicep, guys. Please don't do it. It's basically ARM template, guys. I don't get it because it's a critical issue how you will connect to your VM, and forcing you in the documentation, giving you samples, saying, hey, you know what? Do a local SSH keygen or whatever on your machine and then do whatever you want with this private key. It forces you to send this private key somehow insecure over the wire. At the same time, it's so easy, obviously, to generate a script which does that in a perfect way. So why don't they build it into ARM templates? I don't get it. Anyway, that was a disclaimer. If somebody comments in, that's bad design, he's totally right. Don't protect me against him or her. He's right. But it works, and it works like a charm. Let me just, in the last step, just clean up my resources here. Just show you how this works. Oh, I'm in the wrong Visual Studio Code again. I opened more windows that I have money. I don't know. Yeah. Meanwhile, you know what? Am I the only one who needs a script for, you know, safely closing all the windows which were opened during the day? It takes me like 2 minutes to close all the open windows, tabs and whatever every day. So I leave the machine just on. That's not good for our environment, I think. You know how this impacts us? See? Just open tabs. So whatever. It's cleaning up now. It's basically this cleanup script is just deleting the complete resource group. It's the best thing to do. The good thing here is if we look at the Key Vault, maybe if I'm quick enough, and we go to access control, let me show you that this managed identity, maybe you remember it. Where is it? MG. Oh no, in the access policies here. This managed identity, come on, quicker, just do it. Oh, so now my browser is stuck? Is this what you tell me? Seriously? Okay, so guys, I'm so sad. I'm so sad. I don't know what to do. So I just wait. Okay, cool. So whenever this managed identity disappears, the good thing, what I want you to show here, you see this entry? This is telling Azure to allow this managed identity to be in this roles here for the Key Vault. So this is what comes with this role definition. I showed you. Let me quickly jump into it. No, component, module, where is it? Compute, SSH key. You saw this one, this Key Vault access here. This thing did this entry. Okay, now when the resource is deleted, now you can see delete step by step, so it's gone. Let me refresh this. Those are the ones from my previous tries, you know, when I didn't know how to do. Let me see. At some point, it should disappear. And that's a good thing about all this managed identity stuff. When the managed identity is gone, this thing will disappear by itself. You don't have to take care of it. I like it. Okay. This is disappearing more and more. Is it already? No, it's still removing. Takes some time to, you know, remove all the stuff. But this way you have it clear. Yeah. While it's doing, by the way, I don't want to make advertisement. Just saying, I hope my sound is better than it was. Because I now have, you see this? I now have a microphone. Where is it? A microphone arm. I don't show the label of the manufacturer because I get no money for this. And this allows me to have my microphone pretty near without affecting my hands. I like it so much because this arm, he's so good. I'm pretty near to the point to tell you the manufacturer. I will not do it. I will not do it. It's 4 letters. It's 4 letters and they make pretty good stuff. And it's kind of Nordish. Okay, that's it. Not more. And now I hope the sound was good. I don't know. It's not going to the red area. If I ask OBS, hope so. So removing takes some time. It's live. I can't cut it. Sorry. Okay, so what is this saying? Oh, man, F5 this. Leave page, yeah, leave page and go back there because I F5'd you. Yeah, it's probably because of my tests. He has so many managed identities he has to resolve which he knows and which not. Azure at its best. Okay, that's it. Everything. This is happening all the time. Okay, that's it. You're cool. You are cool. And it's gone. Those, I have to delete those. I have to do it quickly. Go. Is it doing anything? Please. So I have to delete those because they are left there from some stupid tests. So that's cool. Save. Okay. Yeah, that's it. So that's it for today. Guys, no comments in the section. I don't know what to say about this. I'm sad. Nobody's communicating with me. At least no real communication. But anyway, I hope this was interesting for you, like it was for me. And seeing forward to other streams. So it's just about 1 hour. Cool time slot. Stay healthy, guys, and see you next time. Bye.